this is a Bijou Baker. I'm Maria. Today I'm going to show you a real quick but amazingly delicious and satisfying cream and tomato basil soup. I made this last night for the family because you know I've got that ton of tomatoes, and someone had said, "Oh boy, when's the video coming up?" And I said, "Now." I didn't make a video, so we get more soup, which is fine because I'll tell you what, it freezes great. Not that I'm going to, because this is going to go to a family friend of ours, so it'll be enjoyed tonight. Simple, simple. This really is one of those anyone can do it because there's no science in it. It's just putting stuff in a pot and watching magic happen. The cream part, wait till the end because there's a little trick to that where if you don't want to use the cream, you're still not going to miss anything. But just wait. Okay, so I got my mise en place, things in place, and we're going to play. I got to tell you, I got one of the worst headaches. I don't know where it came from, but man, it's just pounding. But that's all right. 2 minutes into this, it's going to be gone because I'm right in my zone and my zen, and it'll be gone in just a minute. So if you see me twitching, that's what it is. What? Okay, if you haven't learned anything from me, please take this away. Just because you don't have an ingredient does not mean you have to avoid the recipe. Many times, if you're making a chocolate cake and you don't have any chocolate, yeah, you're not going to get a chocolate cake. But whenever you're making, here, you know what? Hello. Hi. Whenever you're making a soup, a stock, a broth, a stew, you want your mirepoix. Mirepoix are the three, they call it the Holy Trinity or the Three Amigos or whatever. It's onions, celery, carrots. Those are the things that you're gonna base your dishes on. I used a ton of onions this weekend and I don't have any left, and I forgot to go to the store. I went to the store and I forgot the onion. Oh well, I'm going to use onion powder because I want the flavor. It's going to be a little different, but use onion. Okay, when you do this, use onion. There's just enough difference, and it'll help at the end when I show you the trick. Also, my celery and my carrots, they're thinking, I think we're done. I think we're tired. We're ready to go home. And I'm saying, wrong. You're gonna go to work. Just because they're not really sharp and crisp, always better. But sometimes you just, they just sit there longer than you want to. They're still usable. They still have the nutrients. They still have the flavor. So don't toss them just because. Now, in a week or so, yeah, go ahead and toss them. But I'm using them. And here's what I've got. I've got a ton of Roma tomatoes, my mirepoix, celery, carrots, and onion. I've chopped up a ton of fresh basil, good olive oil. You always want to use good olive oil when you're doing Italian cooking, and a bunch of garlic cloves. And I really love a lot of garlic in my Italian dishes. So all I'm going to do is get rid of the ends, and you don't have to, but I'm going to. I know, how rude. I'm cutting right on the right on the counter. That's all right. I'm not going to worry about some things right now. You probably don't want to do that, depending on what your counter is. All right, so I'm gonna cook them small, or cut them smaller than I ordinarily would. And yeah, they're gonna fly everywhere because I'm being lazy. That's all right. I'll worry about it later, like I said. So I'm gonna cut them smaller because I want them to cook really well. This is a pretty fast recipe. And then the onions, of course, you would cut those too. Okay, So I'm going to heat up some olive oil. Okay, I got the oil pretty hot. I got just a coat, a thick coat on the bottom. Can you see that? It's a lot. I'm not going to put in my powder yet, but I am going to turn this on low. Now, you would put, let's see, for 2 stalks of celery, 2 carrots, I use more, but 2 carrots, and then 2 whole onions. You would use more onions than the other. And this is where you'd put them all in until the onions were translucent. And the peeled garlic, you're just going to smash them. That's enough to break up the flavor. You don't have to chop them. I'm just looking for the flavor to burst out of it. Well, there you go. That's soft. All right, now this is going to go in the pot. Because this part is messy, I am going to use the cutting board. So I'm just taking my tomatoes. Now, this is a sum recipe because I don't know how many tomatoes you have or have access to. Just because I have a ton right now doesn't mean I'm always going to have a ton. So you just use what you got. And just cut them in half, and we're going to roast these. Now the difference between roasting and sun drying, like I showed you in the last video, is we're going to add salt, pepper, and oil. And we're going to use a good amount, a generous amount of oil. And when you roast something, you want them on a higher temperature than a bake, because you're trying to kind of like seal in the, kind of like coat the top really quick with a crust and then seal in the center. And that's where all the juices are. And it doesn't matter what kind of tomatoes you use. These are just the Roma tomatoes that I have. Okay, so I'm going to generously salt these. And you're not going to, when you do this, you're not going to really need a lot of salt in your actual sauce. Oh, that just popped out of nowhere. And then I've got some cracked pepper, and I do like the cracked pepper because they're wholer pieces. And again, some. If you don't like pepper, you're not going to use a lot of pepper. If you like pepper, you're going to kick it up. I happen to like the taste of it. And olive oil. And you're going to see a pretty generous amount. It's almost going to cook in it. And this olive oil is actually going to be a big help in the sauce itself. So don't be afraid of it. All right, see, that's a pretty generous amount of oil there. I'm not going to mix it up. I'm just going to let it sit. Put it in an oven at 400 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. Another thing I'm going to put in the soup are these cherry tomatoes. That's only because I have them. If I didn't have them, I probably wouldn't put them in, but they do add a sweetness to it, so I'm all for that. And you will use about 1/3 cup of sugar. I know, strange, right? But you'd be surprised what that little bit of sweetness does for all the caramelization of the roasted peppers, and really just kicks it up. You don't have to. I'm just saying it's better if you do. And you know, like I said, this isn't an actual recipe. It's just something I made, and it was a hit. If you have a big family, of course, you're going to probably want to double this. Or, you know, if you have a party, you're going to want to double it. If it's just you and your spouse or a loved one, then you're not going to need as much. But it does freeze great. Me and all my talking, I wasn't paying attention. This is where I'm going to put the chopped basil. Sorry, I'm going to confuse you, aren't I? And whatever's left, you can put in the stock. It's in the soup itself. So, but the basil's going to also cook and work together and just, geez, that's all it took to make this an aromatic. Back in the oven. I'm going to have you all over the place, huh? So in here, I've got the mirepoix, and I put in the onion powder because I do want the flavor to be pulled. You can see there, the garlic is getting translucent. That's perfect. You want to watch it because you don't want to burn that garlic. And let me put it a little bit higher. So you'll get that sizzle. This, as these cook, these are going. I can feel them softening already. That's fantastic. And this is where you want to spend your time. You want to just let this do what it has to do, gingerly and lovingly, and let them get softened just a little bit. So here's where I'm going to add those cherry tomatoes that I cut up. It's going to give me a little bit of the juice and, of course, sizzle. And I want the sugars from these tomatoes to caramelize as well. Look at those colors. Aren't they fantastic? All right. So, the vegetable, so soft. Not too soft, but very, you can see the sugars, the caramelizing it. That's great. Now, my favorite part, I'm going to put in some wine, red wine. When you cook with red wine, you want the flavor, but you don't want the alcohol. So you're going to let this reduce to about 70%. Depending on what's in the pot, I'd say maybe 5 to 7 minutes. Can you see the reduction? The liquid essentially evaporated, the alcohol, but the flavors are in. So, tomatoes are about ready to come out of the oven, and they go right inside. Okay, you can see how much this is reduced. Look at that. All the liquid is gone, which is good. That means the alcohol is gone. So now, when this is hot, I'm going to scoop up these tomatoes. They're so soft. Look at that. They're just falling right off the peel. I will tell you that the tomatoes, the acid from the tomatoes, will wreak havoc on your baking sheet. So if you have one you truly treasure, as I do, that's not the one you want to use. This pan is still too hot to touch. But I'm going to lower the heat a little bit, because I'm still going to have it, you see that? I'm still going to have it slow cook for a while. There's no way to gracefully do this So, pardon my mess, but I want this olive oil. And that basil and the salt and pepper that's in there. All right, so that's going to slowly simmer. I'm going to add the rest of the chopped basil. And some water. I have about a cup. I'm not going to use the whole thing, but you saw how that water just totally brought the temperature down. So now it can just simmer. This is where you would, oh my gosh, taste for more salt or pepper, whatever. I'm not touching this thing. This is perfect. So it will cook a bit. I wish. No, but you do want to taste as you go. You really do. It is perfect. I am going to add a little bit of sugar. What did I say? I think I said 1/3 of a cup. It's not going to need 1/3 of a cup. 4 tablespoons is 1/4 of a cup. I'm not going to use 1/4 of a cup. I'd use maybe 2 tablespoons. Yeah, I don't think I'll put more than that in. But that's going to bring all the caramelization that you did with the real onion, carrots, tomatoes, all that caramelized. That's going to make it's going to make it even just that much more. It's just going to pop. Forget about it. Okay. You can seriously eat it just like this, and that's a good, nice, hearty soup. You can put some hamburger in there. You can add stuff to it, and then, boom, you got a nice, good stew base. You got a good soup. But, and you can see, look, you can see it's really chunky. You got everything. Nothing's done to it. You got the tomatoes and carrots and celery. That is so good, just like that. But we want the cream of it. Okay, I got a lot going here, and it might look like chaos, but it's not. I've got some paper towels I'm going to use as my cap. What? Check this out, baby. I'm going to blend everything. And because obviously there's more in here than will fit in here, I'm going to do it in stages. So I'm going to scoop some up, I'm going to puree this, and then I'm going to transfer it here until I'm all done. Now, if you wanted an absolutely smooth, silky smooth soup, you would puree it and then put it in a strainer. Strain all the particles and whatnot that's left over, and toss that, and then you've got this beautiful soup. That's what I did last night. This time, I'm not going to strain it because I want it a little bit heartier. It's not my family I'm feeding, so I want to make sure that they're content. Both are exceptional. And you'll see, I'll show you the first batch. It's not chunky. We are eliminating all chunks. It's hearty. It's good. Now, remember how I was telling you that the cream of the soup is at this point? With all the chunks that are in here, the root vegetables, you know, the carrot and your mirepoix, when they're pureed, it's going to thicken this up, and it's going to lighten it. And it's already going to look like, because some soups you have to put a thickener or a slurry or whatever, but the vegetables themselves do that. They get nice and thick so you have a hearty soup. This is the fun part. Okay, so no rhyme or reason. When you are using your blender for something hot, you want to remove this. If you keep this on and blend it underneath or puree it, you're gonna get so much pressure built up that when you take this off, poof, you are gonna have a shower of hot soup. That's not what you want. So you're gonna use this to cover it and just lift it up a little bit, let it do what it has to do, and then just kind of cover it so it's not splattering. That's really what this is, just a splatter guard. You know, it's just kind of keep it protected. So I'm just taking some, okay, some, remember some? And this will get messy. Thankfully, we have access to soap and water, so I'm not going to worry about it. And you don't want to get it too full. You're going to put the lid on and you're going to watch, you're going to see the colors change. It's going to go from this vibrant red to a pretty pink. Okay. You see that color? It's kind of neat, right? And look at how creamy it is. There's chunks, but not like, certainly not like it was. So this is what I'll do a few more times until it's empty. Just in case. If you wanted to do this, but you didn't do it because I didn't show you, well, shame on me. So let me make sure you know how. It's not a big deal, and all you need is a strainer. That's it. So I've got a big strainer here, and I'm just going to pour it in here. And just mix it. And what's happening is all the liquid is going down to the base, and then I'll end up with whatever chunks that are too big or whatever won't fit through the strainer. Now sometimes you might get some things that you really don't want to bypass, like the basil or whatever. See it thickening up when all the liquid is down here. And you do have to scrape it to make room for more. And this is just a preference. If you're making cheddar and broccoli soup, personally, I would not strain it because I want all those pieces of the broccoli in it. But you might want to. And there's still a lot here. I'm just kind of smashing it down and getting rid of it. See, there's some big chunks there. So, like I said, this is a preference with how you want it. I'm going to continue without it. some whipping cream in here, and I'll say maybe a third of a cup. Man, that's beautiful. It will give it a little bit of sweetness. It will give it a richness. It'll thicken it up just a little bit. Look at that color. That is so pretty. And I'm gonna let it simmer real slow for about 5 minutes. Okay, my favorite words. Soup's on. It kind of blends right into the bowl, doesn't it? Yeah, this is hearty, but I'm telling you, that's plenty. But it doesn't hurt. Top it off with a little Parmigiano. Man, I always want you to smell stuff when it's sweet, but when it's savory, holy guacamole, it smells amazing. Basil and tomato are always one of my favorite things. You didn't get that? Watch. Oh man. Mm. Mm. There's not a thing missing in this bowl of soup, except for maybe my mouth, which is going to be fixed right now. I made grilled cheese sticks, grilled cheese sandwiches cut in strips for dippers. No one even used a spoon. So good, so good. Try it, enjoy it, love it. I adore you. I adore you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your kind words. You guys are so encouraging to me, and I just adore you. If you like my videos, please share them. And don't forget to subscribe and share that too. Okay, my friends, until next time.
Ah, that was fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe.